Dear viewer, I am fairly associated with the Sonic 0.666 creepypasta I have made on my channel. With the success of it, I decided to make a sequel, written and read out on script, and also used as a story by itself. I thought I would base it off of lost Sonic creepypastas and a canceled Sega game, Sonic X-Treme, for the Sega Saturn. I researched the game and even based my creepypasta off the book Ringer. I also decided to add extra lore parts in both stories to give people the ability to make theories accordingly to facts and lore. I hope you enjoy this. Axel. Sonic X-Treme, Dan Demo, by Axel's Great Paradox. It was November 22nd, 2013. It was about 7 years before my Sonic 06 incident. I was getting ready for Christmas early and started looking at Sonic games to give my brother's son for Christmas. I found a Sonic Generations copy that was just $35. I got curious and started looking for Sonic games for my Sega Saturn, since there really wasn't a good mainstream Sonic game, and I already played through Sonic R and 3D Blast. I found on the internet previously early gameplay of footage of a Saturn game called Sonic X-Treme. The channel that created the video was once a Sega developer and managed to screen record it. It was a playthrough of the canceled game demo. I decided not to spoil it and looked on eBay and Craigslist for a demo copy. I knew it would be hard because the game was canceled and someone being a Sega developer and the time of the Sega Saturn would need to sell it. With my luck, the same person that made the video had also had the game on eBay for a whopping $756. I decided to get the game, and it came in the mail 14 days later. I popped the game into my Sega Saturn. The title screens appeared, and I came into the game with a side-scrolling camera and the ability to move freely in all directions. It had something called a Relect lens, which was a fisheye camera system. There was also a Windows 95/98 port that was also fished out, but I didn't have one because they were so expensive and rare. I just decided to get the Saturn version. Did I mention it's X-Treme, not X-Treme? Not to get confused with the canceled skateboarding game. Enough with the chit-chat. When I got to Green Hill Zone Act 3, or what was supposed to be it, there was no slide screens to announce it, something made me hesitate, something I, or any stable person, would feel disturbed by. When I collected all the flickies in the zone, I went to the set checkpoint after I completed the level. But Sonic was moving without my control, and all the flickies gathered in a single file line behind Sonic's head, and his head bent fully backwards as if he didn't have a neck or spine, and was crushing the flickies. I tried to move Sonic away, but his smile turned to a smirk and then a frown, as the flickies were crying out as they could emotionally and physically feel what was going on. I started shouting, "Stop! If you have senseful mercy!" at the screen, and heard one of the flickies say, "Why? How could curiosity cause this? You could have prevented this." John Pearson. I heard footsteps. Sonic looked at the screen and said, "I think I would go. I'm not able to. Why? Please, go. Get out of here," I said. My screen froze and I walked and went to call 911 as I saw Sonic look at me and then saw him reveal a large butcher knife behind his back. So I closed my eyes and opened them, and there was nothing but a note on the floor that said, "Things aren't always what they seem." I turned on the kitchen light to see what I was doing and called 911. They showed up 3 minutes later, and I asked them to give me a blood test to see if I was drunk or high before, and how I might have been seeing things to conclude what I've experienced in the past. I found out there was no drug or alcohol used for the past 14 months, and I took a mental examination and also came out clean and healthy. So something deluminatic or supernatural was going on, if that's the case. First, I decided to contact the channel and told them and they responded 30 minutes later saying they experienced nothing of the sort. I decided my second encounter with whatever entity was being played smart. I knew that when I tried to burn it, it would just come back if I played a Sonic game. I came to the conclusion that I had a curse of some sort and decided to check if the previous owners of my home did any witchcraft. So I contacted them with the phone number they gave me when I bought my home. And I asked them if they or anyone they knew did witchcraft or even had a similar experience. They said that the closest thing to an answer was their dog choked to death when wearing a polyfiber shirt with a picture of Sonic on it. I asked them more about it, and they said their cousin gave it to them in 2004 when they found it in the flea market, and the seller had no information on it, but besides it came in the truck, all the goods came in there, but and had no intention of it being there. I asked if it were a dog shirt, and they said yes, just to make sure if it choked in a human shirt. And then asked if there's a copyright logo on the tag, and they said no. And then I asked if there was elastic on the collar. They said it was sagging down, and they came to the conclusion of it choking because it has scars on its neck and its spine and was curved backwards. But they also mentioned it came up on their front door dead with a note attached saying, "Thou who neglects fate of spirits shall be ringed." They then said whoever put it there probably choked their dog, and then called 911, and then a DNA detection examination went through the blood of the dog in the area near the front door. They found no one came into contact with it, but the DNA of the owners and hedgehog genes. I hung up on them with no questions and searched my attic and basement, hoping to find the dog shirt. I then found a box in the right corner of my basement. I checked to find if anything was in it when I found a note saying, "Don't look back." Then my power went out. Luckily, my toolbox was near me, and I went to the other side of my basement where the circuit breaker was. I was to hear my door close and walk behind me. I heard footsteps in a fast pace, hesitating every moment. I quickly found my circuit breaker in the dark and quickly put on leather rubbery gloves on and inserted a piece of 65 gauge copper wire into the basement section of my circuit breaker. I then located the light switch nearby me. It was dim, but the light was something. I then saw Sonic with a dark red shade of blood coming out of his mouth as he pranced towards me with a large butcher knife. I armed myself with a large wrench, and he pounced at my shin and started biting and sawing it off. I swooped his knife away and kicked him as I was on the ground. I swung my wrench at him, and he moaned. I then found a Glock 14 pistol in my toolbox and saw that Sonic had a lighter. I aimed my gun at him and cocked it, and he sparked a small fire on a few boxes. I then shot him several times until he was down on the floor and decided to escape. I carried my almost broken limb and was skipping only on one foot to where the emergency key was and headed upstairs. A stair broke and I came through and fell on a bunch of boxes that were burning, and I rolled on the ground to get the fire off of me and then walked back upstairs and unlocked the door and went in the kitchen to get my phone and wallet and jumped out the door and started skipping, carrying my items and my now broken leg. I then quickly skipped on my one leg to escape, knowing that my boiler would soon explode. And once in a good distance, I called 911 on my phone, and they took me to the hospital. I got my leg reattached and held together by carbon fiber plastic. I got out 3 months later, making a recovery, and my house is completely destroyed with no remains of the game or Sonic. I am now in a condo paid by my insurance and work for a part of management and field operations for a large business. Yet, the terrible memories of my Sonic incidents are still engraved in my mind.